I'm Lise Merle for Rebel News here in Calgary at the Conservative Party convention with one of the most fearless females I've ever known in my entire life. One of my favorite humans on planet Earth. Everybody, I'd like you to meet my friend, April Hutchinson, coming all the way from London, Ontario. April, thanks so much for being here. Tell us why you're at the Conservative Party convention all the way in Calgary, Alberta.
Well, it's nice to be back on Rebel News. It's been a while. So I'm here as actually a delegate for Andrew Lawton's riding. Mm-hmm. So I got here, I think it was 2 days ago. So I'm here to actually to vote on policies for the next 3 days. Also to vote for actually the National Council. Mm-hmm. And as you know, I'm very passionate about, keeping men out of women's sports and spaces. Obviously, that's not the main focus here for the next couple of days, but I am here just to bring about awareness at the convention.
Yes, because this is still ongoing in Canada. President Trump licked a lot of these issues in the United States, but we are still doing gender madness in Canada. It is right upside down world, and vulnerable women and girls really, really need us to advocate on their behalf, and you're doing just that, April.
Yeah, I'm still bringing about awareness. I did meet with Doug Ford. So Doug Ford is obviously our Ontario Premier. I met with him a couple years ago, and, he did say that he agrees with me that men should not be in women's sports. And I did have a lovely letter drafted to send him about 2 years ago. Even like a year ago, I was about to send it out to him. And then we had the election come up, and then with the tariffs and Donald Trump. So it really wasn't a great time for me to focus on that and send him the letter. And to be honest, this has been an ongoing thing with the tariffs and Donald Trump and all that. So, we do have bigger fish to fry here in Canada. But, when we have mainstream media such as CBC and CTV not reporting these incidents of men in women's sports, because I'll tell you, it's a very big issue in Canada. We had a powerlifter 3 times now out in British Columbia take gold medal and prize money just last month. We still have records in Alberta.
Alberta women's powerlifting record is held by, I think, 3 out of the 5 are held by a man in Alberta. The records, the women's powerlifting record, held by a man in Alberta. So this is an issue that is absolutely unresolved in Canada, that has not been addressed in any meaningful way by any member of the political elites. And we are here to remind them that we're not shutting up about this. This is something that we have to unwind for the future of our nation and our girls and our women who deserve the very best in this life.
Yeah, and it's not just, I don't just focus on sports. That is the main focus, because I think 88 to 90% of Canadians across the board, whether you're Liberal, NDP, or Conservative, agree that men should not be in women's sports, right? Because sports are about fairness. Sports are about safety. But it comes down to safe spaces as well. So, I have proof, even in my own city of London, Ontario, there are men in women's abuse shelters, women's shelters. We do know that there's men in women's prisons. So, this is something that does need to be focused on. Maybe not now, but I'll tell you, I will be bringing awareness. I will not stop until the government addresses this. We do have to protect our little girls and women. So, it's a major issue, and it is happening, and mainstream media is not reporting about it. And thank God for, Rebel News that does report on these cases.
Well, we couldn't be more proud to be completely honest. And I would say that it is one of the most pressing issues in Canada right now, because it has been largely unaddressed, unlike in the United States. But I think that the question of radical gender is a perfect litmus test, okay? Because you can find out whether a person has been completely ideologically captured or if they have maintained a sense of their own of the truth, I guess. It is a litmus test to see if you're full of good ideas, if you're full of lies. And this is why we must address it. We just must undo the lies in this country, and it's gone on for far too long. Far too many women have been displaced. Far too many girls have lost out on their opportunities. And as it pertains to sports, this really impacts women as they go through their academic careers. So if they're competing against boys, they're losing out on academic opportunities. We must roll this back, April.
And we need to roll it back to the grassroots. This needs to happen in the public school years, because this is when I found my first love of sports when I was in grade 5, grade 4. I started sports when I was 5 years old, and I'd bring home that red ribbon, and I was like, wow, I want to keep competing, right? So, if little girls keep competing against boys and losing, they're not going to want to keep competing in sports. So we need to educate, the differences between boys and girls. We need to know that they are the superior. They are going to dominate. So we have to teach the little girls and boys in these grade schools that, boys are stronger, that boys should not be competing against little girls, and it has to start in the young ages. And, we need to keep educating. And, as I say in all my speeches across Canada when I do educate people, we just need to use our voices. And this isn't just a woman problem. We need the men out there to protect their little girls. So if you do see a man go into the women's change room, if you do see men go into women's sports, please speak up about it and use your voices.
Yes, nothing is more powerful than in that being challenged in that moment. Yes, agreed. So what's next for April Hutchinson? This has been a real exciting couple of years for you. What's next?
I'm just going to keep doing my tour, and anyone that wants to book me either to go to a university or to do a speech at a function, just to educate, because a lot of people, like I said, don't know what's going on in Canada. I was out to Saskatchewan.
We brought her into Regina Special. We flew her into Regina to be our keynote speaker at a function we had, and the reviews were excellent, April. People just loved hearing from you. So you're going to continue on with your professional speaking. By the way, I would give April Hutchinson a 5-star review on her keynote speaking. So, but more of that for you this year.
Actually, I would like to note. I don't know if the audience. I'm sure the Rebel News knows, because you did do a video on it, that I was kicked out of that museum in London, which had nothing to do with my sports.
Nope.
For basically my views on how to keeping men out of women's sports. So this museum in London kicked me out of this museum exhibit, which celebrated my sobriety, overcoming addiction.
It was peak woke.
It was crazy,
girl.
So actually, the treatment center. So I have about 7 years sober now, and sports saved my life. It helped me get sober. So my treatment center, where I got sober in London, Ontario, has asked me to be the keynote speaker at their gala celebrating 40 years. And so I asked them, I said, so when I speak at your event, do you want me to keep out the fact that I'm an advocate to keep men out of women's sports and, all that stuff? And they're like, no, April, that's why we want you, because we are so proud of you, and we want you to tell your story about how you spoke up and that you're a Canadian athlete, you're a hero. We want you to, tell how you stayed sober, although you got suspended for speaking up about it, and how you have integrity, and how the museum kicked you out. We want you to tell the world about that. And so I was like, wow, out of all the speeches that I've done, I think that one is going to be my most important, because, that's for them to believe in me.
Sure.
is major. So.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Well, we're looking forward to it, April. We're looking forward to seeing what you do this year, and just know that we're so proud of you and the work that you've done, and just know that you've really moved the needle on some issues that felt really hopeless for a great many Canadians. So keep it up, babe.
Thank you. And I'll just have to say, too, I've had policies changed from using my voice. I had the international policy changed. I've had smaller policies changed. So people, just keep using your voice, because you can change policies by speaking up.
Amen. Thanks,
you.
April Hutchinson.
Thank you, Rebel.